Welcome. I am Amalur Pavadas presenting a lecture on projection formula. Projection formula is a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional molecular structure obtained by projection of bonds on a plane. A projection formula which indicates the spatial arrangement of bonds or groups is called stereochemical or stereo formula. The most important types of projection formulas are Fisher projection, Newman projection, Sahar's projection, flying wedge projection. Perspective formula is a geometric representation of stereochemical features of a molecule or model which appears as a view from the proper direction. Flying wedge formula. When a tetrahedral carbon with four single bonds is kept on a paper, two bonds will lie on the plane of the paper, one will go behind the paper, the other one will come above the paper. So these two bonds which are lying on the same plane are represented by a solid line. The bond that comes above the plane of the paper is shown as a solid wedge, and this bond is called beta bond, and this is coming towards the weaver. And the other bond that goes below the plane of the paper, that is to the alpha side, is represented with the hatched wedge. This is actually the flying wedge representation of this three-dimensional structure. Here we find a carbon having the bonds A, B. These two bonds A, B are on the same plane and they are represented with solid lines here. The bond D is going behind the plane, that is shown with the alpha bond, the hatched wedge. The group C, the bond C, is coming above the plane of the paper, and that is shown with the solid wedge or thick wedge. A chiral or asymmetric carbon is sp3 hybridized and it is tetrahedral. As I said earlier, when we place the chiral carbon on a paper, two of its bonds AB will fall on the plane of the paper. One bond will be above the plane and the other will be below the plane of the paper. So the one that is above the plane is called beta, the other one is alpha bond, the other two bonds are remaining on the plane. So the two normal lines are the bonds on the plane. These are solid lines. The thick wedge is the beta bond and the hatched wedge or the dotted wedge is the alpha bond. And this is how a chiral carbon is represented with a flying wedge formula. This is the flying wedge representation of the enantiomeric lactic acids. So here this is the chiral carbon having four bonds. The two bonds are on the plane. This is alpha bond and this is beta. And this is the mirror image of this molecule. So this is the flying wedge representation of the two enantiomeric lactic acids. Now let us see what happens when we do an interchange of two groups in the flying wedge formula. When we do one interchange of two groups in a molecule, it results in the inversion of configuration. Here you see this in this structure, we have the methyl group at the top and the carboxyl group here, and these two groups I have interchanged here. Now after doing this interchange, if we assign the configuration at this chiral center, now the configuration at this chiral center is R, and before the interchange it was S. Therefore, one interchange of two groups in a flying wedge formula results in the inversion of configuration, and this is applicable for Fisher projection formula also, and this interchange is equivalent to 180-degree outplane rotation of a Fisher projection formula that we will discuss later. Suppose if you are doing two interchanges, I said one interchange inverts the configuration. Suppose if you do one more interchange, you will end with the original configuration. So when I do one interchange, now I am doing the interchange of these two groups. I am putting methyl here and COH here, right? And I am interchanging the hydrogen and OH also. So now I have done two interchanges. So one interchange results in the inversion. This R becomes S. And now another interchange will convert S into the R, the original. So when I do two interchanges in this molecule B, I will get a structure that retains the original configuration. So one interchange is resulting in inversion. One more interchange is doing another inversion that results in the retention of the original configuration. And this interchange of two groups is equivalent to two 180 outplane rotations or two inversions in a Fisher projection. This also we will be discussing. In the previous slide, I had shown you two structures B and C. In the molecule B, when I do two interchanges at the chiral center, this is the chiral carbon of molecule B, and I am doing two interchanges. This methyl and carboxyl I am interchanging, hydrogen and OH also I am interchanging. So I have done two interchanges in the chiral center of B, and that results in the structure C. Now let me assign the configuration for this molecule, for which let me convert this flying wedge formula into Fisher projection. Now I am standing here to look at this molecule. I am weaving the molecule in this from this direction. So when I stand here, the methyl is at my head side, hydrogen is at my left side, COH is at my right, the OH is at the back, that should be at the leg side of the Fisher projection. So methyl at the top, hydrogen at the left, COH at right, OH at the leg side. And this is the Fisher projection formula, and this is how we have to convert the flying wedge formula into a Fisher projection. After assigning the Fisher projection, you apply the sequence rules. Assign priority numbers for the four groups which are connected to the chiral carbon. So based on the sequence rules, if you assign priority numbers, OH will get 1, COH will get 2, methyl will get number 3. Now, if you read the numbers from 1 to 3, you are going from here 1, 2, 3, you are traveling in the anti-clockwise direction. Anti-clockwise direction means you have to give the configuration yes, but before deciding whether it is yes or R, you have to look at the least priority group. If the least priority group is in the horizontal line, for anti-clockwise sequence you have to assign R configuration. That's why the configuration at this chiral carbon remains R. Now let me do two interchanges in this Fisher projection. Let me interchange this methyl to this place and COH to the top, and the hydrogen and OH. So that also I have interchanged. So after two interchanges, now you assign the configuration. The sequence or the priority numbers for OH is 1, COH is 2, methyl is 3. And if you go from here, you are traveling in the clockwise direction. So if the sequence is in the clockwise direction, we have to assign R configuration. But before taking a decision, you have to look at the least priority group. Now it is in the vertical line, so you keep the configuration as R. So whether it is in the flying wedge formula or in the Fisher projection, the two interchanges does not affect the configuration. That is what you should understand from this example. This is the perspective formula of a chiral molecule with one chiral carbon. This chiral carbon or asymmetric carbon with four different bonds is tetrahedral, and among the four bonds, if you keep that molecule on a paper, two bonds will rest on the plane of the paper. One will go below the plane, the other one will come above the plane. Now, this is the perspective formula of the molecule, and I am weaving. When I weave the molecule from this direction, it will look like this. I am trying to convert it into flying wedge formula. When I weave the molecule from here, these two bonds are going away from me, and these two are coming towards me. So these two bonds which are coming towards me, I have to keep in the horizontal line. A is at the left hand side of me and B is at my right side. And that is what I have shown here. A at my left and B at my right. And these two bonds are going away from me. For the viewer, these two are away from the viewer. So these two bonds which are away from the viewer have to be shown with the dotted wedges. So these among these two bonds which are going away from the viewer, D is at the head side and E is at the leg side, and that is how this flying wedge formula is constructed. Now this can be converted into Fisher projection by keeping the horizontal groups in the horizontal line and the two groups in the vertical side in the vertical line. Now we can view the same molecule in a different way also. So here I have shown another perspective formula where three groups are coming towards me and the other fourth group is going away from me. So I have to view the molecule like this. Let us see how to view this molecule. So here we see the three groups coming towards us and one at the back side. So a tetrahedral carbon with the four bonds can be viewed like this also. So now I am weaving the molecule from here. From this face I am weaving the molecule. So for me these three groups are coming towards me and the one that is away at the back side is going away from me. And this three-dimensional structure only has been represented with a perspective formula like this. And this perspective formula I have to convert into a flying wedge or a Fisher projection now. So when I am weaving the molecule from here, I am standing here to weave the molecule. For me, these three groups are coming towards me. Therefore, this D group is at the head side, A at my left, B at my right. The group that is going away from me should be shown at the bottom. So this is the flying wedge formula corresponding to this perspective formula. And this flying wedge is converted to Fisher projection here, keeping the groups coming towards us in the horizontal line, the groups that are going away from us in the vertical line. Here is the three-dimensional structure of a chiral carbon. There are four bonds in the chiral carbon. Two of them are coming towards the weaver and two are going away from the weaver. So always while we are looking at the chiral carbon, we should see to that we are keeping the carbon chain going away in this direction. These two bonds should be of the carbon chain and these two are the other groups. So when I'm looking at this molecule, these two bonds are coming towards me. They have to be shown with the thick wedges like this. And these two bonds are going away from the weaver. They have to be kept in the vertical side as dotted wedges or hatched wedges. This is the flying wedge formula corresponding to this three-dimensional structure, and this can be converted into Fisher projection here. The two bonds which are going away from the weaver has to be kept in the vertical line, and the two bonds which are coming towards the weaver should be kept in the horizontal line. And here is the Fisher projection formula of lactic acid. Here the carbon chain is projected vertically, so this should be the carbon chain. The horizontal bonds attached to the carbon are considered to be above the plane of the paper. These two bonds are above the plane of the paper and towards the weaver. And the vertical bonds are considered to be away from the plane of the paper or away from the weaver. So these two bonds are below the plane of the paper and they are going away from the weaver. That is why they are shown with the hedged wedges or dotted wedges in the flying wedge formula, and that is shown in the vertical line here. As we have discussed so far, let us once again look at this tetrahedral structure. Here we have to rotate the molecule in such a way two bonds are coming towards the weaver and two bonds are going away from the weaver. And these two bonds which are coming towards the weaver are called beta bonds. And the two bonds which are going away from the weaver are shown with the hatched wedges. They are the alpha bonds. So this flying wedge, this three-dimensional structure is converted to flying wedge. This flying wedge can be converted to Fisher projection as shown here. Here is another example, and this time we are taking a molecule with two tetrahedral carbon atoms bonded with one another. Now we have to do a rotation about the carbon-carbon single bond, and we have to rotate the whole molecule so that we will have these two sets of groups coming towards the weaver and these two groups are going away from the weaver. So these two sets of bonds which are coming towards the weaver are shown with thick wedges, and the bond between this carbon and this group, and the bond between these two are shown with the dotted wedges. So this is the flying wedge formula corresponding to this three-dimensional structure, and the bonds which are coming towards the weaver, the beta bonds should be kept in the horizontal line, and the bonds shown with the dotted wedges should be kept in the vertical line. So that is how this flying wedge formula is converted to Fisher projection formula. Here is the three-dimensional model of glyceraldehyde. This is the chiral carbon to which a hydrogen and a OH are connected, and here we have an aldehyde, carbon doubly bonded with oxygen, and here we have CH2OH. So this is the model of glyceraldehyde. Now what we have done here is we have rotated the molecule in such a way the bond between carbon hydrogen and carbon OH. These two bonds are coming towards the weaver, and the carbon aldehyde, carbon CH2OH, these bonds are going away from the weaver. And now this is shown, this is depicted with a flying wedge formula here. So these two bonds coming towards the weaver are shown with the thick wedges, and these two bonds which are going away from the weaver are shown with the dotted wedges. So this is the flying wedge formula corresponding to this three-dimensional structure of glyceraldehyde. And this flying wedge formula can be converted to Fisher projection now, keeping the beta bonds in the horizontal line and the alpha bonds in the vertical line. Now you can see to that the carbon chain is kept in the vertical line, the other groups are kept in the horizontal line. comma 3 dibromobutane is taken here. This is its flying wedge formula, and here the carbon chain is in the vertical line. There, these two bonds are going away from the weaver, and the beta bonds are coming towards the weaver. When this flying wedge formula is converted to Fisher projection, the beta bonds are kept in the horizontal line, the alpha bonds are kept in the vertical line, and you can note down one important thing, that is the carbon chain is taken in the vertical line. We have taken another molecule here, 2-amino 3-chloro-butane 2-ol. When this molecule is viewed from here, this is the nearer carbon to the weaver and this is the distant carbon. Now, before converting this into the Fisher projection, we shall do a rotation about this carbon-carbon single bond to bring this methyl group down. So when the methyl group is brought down, the other groups are also moving and we get this structure. Now let us view the molecule in this direction, so that when I view the molecule from here, these groups are coming towards me and the methyl groups are going away from me. So now I am viewing this structure from this direction. So when I view the molecule in this direction, so these bonds are alpha, these two methyl groups are going away from me. Therefore, these two methyl groups which are going away from me, I have to take in the vertical line. So I am just looking at the molecule from here. So this is the nearer carbon to me and that I have to take at the bottom. So this carbon is kept here. The two groups which are going away are taken in the vertical line, methyl, methyl. And in the nearer carbon I have, when I view from here, I have OH at my left, NH2 at my right. So OH at the left and NH2 at the right. And when I view the molecule from here, the chlorine is at my left, hydrogen is at my right. Therefore, these groups are kept in the horizontal lines and these two methyl groups are taken in the vertical line. These are the erythro and thioisomers of 3-bromo-butane 2-ol. In this perspective formula, I am going to rotate so that the two similar groups, methyl groups, are going away from me. Because in the Fisher projection, I want to have the carbon chain in the vertical line, so that I want to make these methyl groups to go away from me. So I am doing a rotation. When I do the rotation like this, these two methyl groups will go to the back side of the paper and the OH will come to my left, hydrogen to my right. Here hydrogen to my right and bromine to my left. And this now I can convert into Fisher projection. And this is the erythroisomer. You can see the two similar groups, hydrogen, hydrogen, methyl, methyl, are on the same side, and the two groups which are different, AA, BB, XY. So this molecule can be assigned erythrothrio notation, and here similar groups are on the same side. Therefore, this is the erythroisomer, and here is the thioisomer. Once again, we shall do a rotation about carbon-carbon single bond to make the methyl groups, both the methyl groups, to go away from us. So because while we draw the Fisher projection, we should take the alpha bonds in the vertical line and the alpha bond should contain the carbon chain. Therefore, we have done a rotation about this carbon-carbon single bond and we are making this methyl group to go to the alpha side, to go below or behind the screen. So after rotation, now you have the methyl groups at the back. So once the methyl group goes to the back side, you will have, so you are doing rotation in this direction, in the clockwise. So OH will come to the left, hydrogen will come to the right. Similarly, here you will have the hydrogen at the left, bromine at the right. Now it's easy to convert it into the Fisher projection, and you can see the methyl are on the alpha side, they are on the same side, and here the hydrogen are in the opposite side. That is why you have them in the opposite side of the Fisher projection, and this is the thioisomer of 3-bromobutane 2-all. This is the Fisher projection formula of S-lactic acid. In a Fisher projection formula, as we have done with the flying wedge formula, when you do one interchange of groups, it results in the inversion of configuration. Here, the hydrogen and carboxyl group are interchanged. So this one interchange results in the inversion of configuration. Now applying the sequence rule for this structure, OH gets 1, this carboxyl gets 2, this methyl gets 3. So when you read from 1 to 3, your eyes travel in the clockwise. But since the lowest priority group is in the horizontal, you have to assign the S configuration for the clockwise sequence. Now, after one interchange, you read the priority numbers 1 OH, carboxyl 2, and this is 3. So when we travel from 1 to 3, we travel in the clockwise direction. So for clockwise direction, we have to assign R configuration, provided the least priority group is kept in the vertical line. Yes, now the least priority group is in the vertical line. Therefore, the clockwise sequence gets R configuration. So one interchange of groups inverts the configuration. Now, if you do two interchanges, you just interchange these two groups, okay? Hydrogen and carboxyl we have interchanged, and these two groups also we are interchanging. Likewise, you can do two sets of interchanges with any groups. So we have done another interchange here. So after two interchanges, you assign the configuration, assign the priority numbers OH1, carboxyl 2, methyl 3. So 1, 2, 3, my eyes travel in the anticlockwise direction. For anticlockwise sequence, we have to assign S configuration, and before that we have to see the least priority group is kept in the vertical line. Yes, it is there. Therefore, the anticlockwise sequence gets S configuration. So the starting compound had S, and after two interchanges also the compound has S configuration. Therefore, two interchanges in a Fisher projection results in the retention of configuration. In a Fisher projection formula, when we do a 90-degree in plane rotation, we are not taking the molecule uh, away from the plane. In the plane itself, we are doing a rotation. So when we do a 90-degree in plane rotation, this A is shifted to the place of B, and B moves down and D moves here. So we get this structure. So a 90-degree in plane rotation results in a structure which is the enantiomer of this structure. If this is 1 and this is 2, 1 and 2 are having the enantiomeric relationship. So now we shall confirm that these two are enantiomers. So 90-degree rotation, in plane rotation, gives the enantiomer. Another point you should remember, a three group interchange, exchange of three groups without any change in their order, leaves the molecule the same. Exchange of three groups without any change in their order leaves the molecule the same. See, I am doing a exchange of three groups. D I am bringing here, B I am bringing to the place of E, and E So these three groups I am exchanging. I am getting a structure like this. And I am doing one more three groups exchange with these three groups. So after these three group exchanges, I am ending with this structure, and this structure you can see these two are the mirror images. So a 90-degree in plane rotation of this structure gives 2, and this 2 and 3 are the same because we have done three group exchanges in the structure 2. So three group exchanges without changing the order will keep the molecule same. So we have just done one three group interchange, another three group interchange. That means these two molecules are the same because the three group interchanges are keeping the molecule same. So 2 and 3 are same. Now 3 and 1 are the mirror images. Therefore, these two are enantiomers. So if these two are enantiomers, 1 and 2 are also enantiomers because 2 and 3 are same. Or 2-butanol is taken here, and this is converted to Fischer projection. When we do a 90-degree in plane rotation, the hydrogen moves to the place of methyl, methyl occupies the place of ethyl, and ethyl moves here, and we get this Fischer projection. This is a 90-degree in plane rotation on the plane itself. Now you convert this Fischer projection into three-dimensional structure where the methyl and hydrogen are coming towards the weaver. The two bonds in the horizontal line of the Fischer projection are coming towards the weaver, and ethyl is at the top. The group at the left side is away from the weaver. Now assign the priority numbers and read from 1 to 3. Your eyes travel in the anticlockwise direction. Therefore, the configuration at this chiral center is S. So 90-degree in plane rotation converts the R configuration into S. There is an inversion of configuration. Therefore, the Fischer projection should never be rotated by 90-degree on the plane itself. In plane rotation by 90-degree is not allowed in case of Fischer projection because it results in the inversion of configuration. But a Fischer projection can be rotated by 180-degree. That is an allowed process. When you do 180-degree rotation, the configuration does not change. So here the same R2-butanol is taken. The corresponding Fischer projection is this. We do a 180-degree rotation so that OH gets the place of methyl, methyl goes to the place of OH, and these two are getting interchanged. And this is like doing two interchanges in a Fischer projection. Already I told you in a Fischer projection, when we do one interchange, it results in inversion. Two interchanges will result in retention. So 180-degree in plane rotation is also similar to two group interchanges, two interchanges. OH and methyl are interchanged, hydrogen and ethyl are interchanged. So two interchanges results in retention of configuration. So a 180-degree in plane rotation is equal to two interchanges, and that retains the configuration. Let us convert this into the three-dimensional structure where methyl at the top, the two groups coming towards the weaver, OH is going behind. And let me do a rotation about this CC single bond to make the least priority group hydrogen to go away from the weaver, and after that I am getting this structure. Now hydrogen has gone away from the weaver. Now read the priority numbers 1, 2, 3. Your eyes travel in the clockwise direction. Therefore, this has R configuration. So when we do a 180-degree rotation, in plane rotation, that is equivalent to two interchanges, and that results in the retention of configuration. That is why 180-degree in plane rotation is allowed in a Fischer projection. This is the Fischer projection of a chiral molecule where four different groups A, B, D, E are connected. to a chiral carbon. And when let us do a 180 degree in plane rotation, so that A will come down and D will go up, and E and B also are undergoing interchanges. B will go to the place of E. So already I told you 180 degree in plane rotation is like two interchanges. Okay, we have done two interchanges now. So 180 degree rotation, in plane rotation we have done here. Now after doing this, we shall do the exchange of three groups B, D and A. Leaving this group E, these three groups are exchanged without changing their order. Already I told you, exchange of three groups will keep the molecule same. So we have done exchange of three groups, and we are doing another exchange of three groups now with A, B, E. So after these three group exchanges, I am ending with the original structure. Therefore, a 180 degree in plane rotation leaves the molecule as such. Here is another example for the in plane rotations. The S lactic acid after 90 degree in plane rotation becomes R lactic acid. The same S lactic acid after 180 degree rotation in plane rotation remains as S lactic acid. So now you can assign the priority numbers and you can read the numbers. When you have the least priority group hydrogen in the horizontal line, you should remember for clockwise sequence we have to give S configuration. For anti-clockwise sequence we have to give R configuration. When the least priority group is in the horizontal line, when it is in the vertical line, for clockwise sequence or anti-clockwise sequence, yes. Therefore you can see from these structures, the S lactic acid after 90 degree in plane becomes R, 180 degree in plane rotation becomes S. So far we had been discussing about the in plane rotations. Now let us see what happens when we do an out of plane rotation. So we are doing a 180 degree out of plane rotation. While we do that, A and D will remain on the plane, but E and B will get rotated perpendicular to the plane. So E is coming in front of the screen and B is going backside the screen. And then E comes gradually to the right and B goes to the left. So this is called out of plane rotation. So during this out of plane rotation, the groups A and D remain on the plane, their positions are not disturbed. E and B alone undergo a rotation perpendicular to the screen. So after 180 degree rotation, A and D remain in their own place and there is one interchange here. So 180 degree out of plane rotation results in an interchange of two groups. So one interchange of two groups always results in the inversion of configuration. If this chiral molecule is having R configuration and this structure will have S configuration, therefore these two will be enantiomers. Therefore, uh, the 180 degree out of plane rotation results in the interchange of two groups in the conversion of one enantiomer into another enantiomer. And these two are the mirror images. Now, let me consolidate the points I have discussed about the in-plane and out-plane rotations. The 90-degree in-plane rotation of a Fisher projection results in the inversion of configuration. It results in the formation of its enantiomer, whereas 180-degree in-plane rotation leaves the molecule unchanged. There is retention of configuration when there is 180-degree in-plane rotation. Whereas if 180-degree out of plane rotation is done in a Fisher projection, that is equal to one interchange of two groups, which results in the inversion of configuration, or which results in the formation of its enantiomer. So 180-degree in plane rotation retains the configuration at chiral center. 180-degree out of plane rotation results in inversion of configuration at the chiral center. Therefore, 180-degree out of plane rotation is equivalent to a two group interchange. It is equivalent to one interchange of two groups. So one interchange of two groups in a Fisher projection is equivalent to 180-degree out of plane rotation, which always results in the inversion of configuration at the chiral center, which means that process results in the formation of enantiomer. Therefore, one interchange of two groups results in inversion of configuration. If you do one more interchange of two groups, you are doing one more inversion. Inversion followed by inversion will leave the molecule the same. Therefore, when you do two interchanges in one chiral center of a Fisher projection, the molecule remains unchanged. And this is applicable for a molecule with one chiral center. This is applicable only when the two interchanges are done in one chiral center alone. Suppose if two interchanges are done in two chiral centers of the molecule, then that will result in the generation of diastereomers. Let us discuss the interconversion of the different projection formulas and the perspective formulas. This is the lactic acid given. Now this is the perspective formula of lactic acid. I am looking at the molecule from this direction. So for me, only these three groups will be visible and this methyl is going away. So this is like the Newman projection, where this is the distant carbon that is hidden by the front carbon, so that only these three groups will be visible for me. Now I am going to convert this perspective formula into Fisher projection. So for me, these two groups are coming towards me, and this is at the top and this is away from me. So when we convert this perspective formula into Fisher projection, I have to keep this top group at the head side of the Fisher projection. And when I view the molecule from here, this hydrogen is at my left, OH is at my right. And these two I have to keep in the arms of the Fisher projection at the left and right respectively. The group that is going away from me, the methyl, I have to place at the leg side of the Fisher projection. So this is how this perspective formula can be converted to Fisher projection. This is the flying wedge formula of D-glyceraldehyde, and the bonds which are shown with the dotted wedges, they are going away from the viewer and they are taken in the vertical line of the Fisher projection. And the two groups which are coming towards the viewer, the beta bonds, they are taken in the horizontal line of the Fisher projection. And here we have the enantiomer, the mirror image of this D-glyceraldehyde. As we have done for D-glyceraldehyde, we have done for L-glyceraldehyde also. The bonds which are going away from the viewer are taken in the vertical line, the bonds coming towards the weaver are taken in the horizontal line. This is how we convert the flying wedge into bromo 2-butanol is taken here, and in order to have the two methyl groups on the same side, I am doing a 180-degree rotation. After 180-degree rotation, I am having the two methyl groups on the same side. Now I am weaving the molecule from this direction. When I look from here, this is my near carbon and this is the distant carbon. So the nearer carbon should be kept at the bottom of the Fisher projection and the distant carbon should be kept at the top. Therefore, here the two groups which are going away from me, when I weave from here, the two methyl groups are going away from me and these two sets of bonds are coming towards me. Therefore, the bonds which are going away from the weaver should be kept in the vertical line. Now the two methyl groups are on the vertical line. This is the nearer carbon, and that is having the hydrogen at the left and bromine at the right. So we are keeping them at the left and right in the horizontal line here. These two groups, OH at the left, hydrogen at the right, they are also placed without changing anything in their orientation. OH at the left, hydrogen at the right, and this methyl group is kept at the top. This is the Fisher projection. Now if you assign the configuration for this chiral carbon 2, you will get the configuration R, and this also has the R configuration. Therefore, this is the complete name of this molecule is 2R 3R 3-bromo butane 2-ol. This is the perspective formula of 3-bromo 2-butanol. Perspective formula, the three-dimensional structure as I weave. So here the two methyl groups are going away from me. This is the same molecule that which we have discussed just now. Now I am weaving the molecule from this direction by standing near to C2. Earlier I weaved the molecule from C3. Now I am weaving the molecule from C2. And this is the very same structure kept here also. These two are the same. And I am converting this into Sagar's projection here. And this Sagar's projection I have converted to Fisher projection. And you can see the two groups which are going down are kept down, and the two groups which are coming up are kept up here in the Sagar's formula also. And this is the near carbon. The starred carbon is the carbon nearer to the weaver. So this has to be kept at the bottom of the Fisher projection, and this should be kept at the top. The groups which are going away, going down in the Sagar's projection should be kept in the vertical line. So the methyl, this methyl at the bottom and this methyl at the top. The two groups which are going down in the Sagar's projection are in the vertical line. The groups which are coming up in the Sagar's projection are kept in the horizontal lines without changing their direction. Hydrogen at the left, OH at the right, bromine at the left, hydrogen at the right. So this is the Fisher projection, and this perspective formula can be converted to the flying wedge like this. So flying wedge and the Fisher projection, they look almost the same. The only thing is we have shown the thick wedges and the hatched wedges, but here we are showing the solid lines. And this is 2R 3R 3-bromo butane 2-ol. So whatever is the direction from which you weave, unless you are breaking or disconnecting a bond, the configuration remains the same. So the very same molecule we have weaved from C3, and we have found out that both the carbon atoms are having 2R configurations. Now we are weaving the molecule by standing near C2. Now also we are having the same configuration. So just by changing the direction of our weave, the configuration will not change. Configuration will change only when you disconnect or interchange the groups. This is the perspective formula of 3-bromo 2-butanol. Now I am weaving the molecule by standing near this C3 carbon. This is the front carbon for me, and C2 is at the back, that is the rear carbon. When I weave the molecule from this direction, the molecule looks like this. This is how I can represent the three-dimensional structure on the paper. This is the perspective formula. And I am trying to convert this into Sahar's projection. This is the C3 carbon that I am keeping in the front. And in the C3 carbon, there is a methyl at the top, Br at left, hydrogen at right. So in the three dimension, this is the three-dimensional Sagar's projection, where methyl is kept at the top here, bromine at left, hydrogen at right. And by converting the ball and stick into lines, I am getting this Sagar's projection. C3 carbon having this methyl up, bromine left and hydrogen right. And this is C2, the rear carbon. When I weave from this side, OH is at my left, hydrogen is at my right. And that is what I have shown. OH at left, hydrogen at the right, methyl is at the downside. So this is how we can convert a perspective formula into Sahar's projection. The very same molecule is taken here. Now instead of weaving from C3, the molecule is weaved from C2. So C2 becomes the near carbon and that becomes the front carbon for me. So this C2 is kept as the ball here, and that has two groups in the upper side where hydrogen is at left, OH is at right. So hydrogen here, OH here, and the methyl in the downside. So this is the front carbon C2 having hydrogen at left, OH at right, methyl down. And this is the rear carbon that is taken as a ball here. And this has two bonds in the upper side with bromine at left, hydrogen at right. So bromine at left here, hydrogen at right here. And that is what we have taken here also. And the methyl is at the downside. So this ball and stick three-dimensional model, we have converted it into the lines. The C2 and C3 are taken as dots here, and the sticks are taken as the lines. So this is the Sagar's projection of this molecule. Now we shall see how we can convert the perspective formulas into Newman projection. And to draw the Newman projection formula, the molecule should have at least two carbon atoms. So this Newman projection is applicable for compounds containing minimum of two carbon atoms. This is the perspective formula of a molecule. I am weaving the molecule from here. This is the front carbon. The front carbon is kept as a dot here, and the three bonds connected to this are shown as they are. Instead of showing as wedges, they are shown as solid lines. So these three bonds are the three bonds in the front carbon. So when I am weaving the molecule, I have to weave the molecule along this carbon-carbon bond so that the carbon at the backside is hidden by the front carbon. So the backside carbon is not visible for me. Therefore, this backside carbon I am showing as a circle. And the three bonds present in the backside carbon, the rear carbon, are also shown as they are. One bond at the left, one at the right, one at the down. And this is the eclipsed conformer. And if you look at this structure, and if you convert, this is the front carbon and this is the rear carbon. When you are weaving along the carbon-carbon bond, this is the front carbon that you have to keep as a dot with the three bonds as they are. The backside carbon is taken as a circle, and the three bonds present in the backside carbon are shown as solid lines as they are oriented. So these two are the Newman projections of eclipsed and staggered conformers. We shall convert the perspective formula of 3-bromo-2-butanol into Newman projection. I am weaving this molecule 3-bromo-2-butanol by standing near the C2 carbon, C1, C2, C3, C4. I am weaving the molecule by standing near C2. This is the front carbon that is taken as the ball here. The backside carbon is hidden by C2, so that is not visible for me. And in the front carbon I have a hydrogen at the left. That hydrogen should be here at the left, OH at the right, and this methyl down. So these are the three bonds shown here in this ball. So carbon C2, hydrogen, OH at the right, methyl at the down. So this ball I am replacing by a dot. The front carbon shown as a ball, I am taking as a dot here. This is connected to hydrogen at the left here. So hydrogen at left, OH at the right, that is taken as right, methyl down, that methyl is down. The three bonds connected to the front carbon C2 are shown like this. Now the rear carbon is hidden by C2, that we cannot see, that we are showing as a circle. And to the backside carbon there is a carbon methyl bond going in the upward direction, and that is this bond at the backside carbon, and that is taken here, and that is connected to the circle. Now this carbon methyl bond is at the backside carbon. There are two groups which are going down. When I weave from here, this hydrogen is at my left, Br is at right. So hydrogen at the left, Br at the right, and that is what we have shown here. So this is how a perspective formula can be converted to the Newman projection. In the Newman projection, the front carbon is kept as a dot, back carbon is shown as a circle. The three bonds in the front carbon are visible, and the three bonds which are at the back carbon should be connected with the circle. The same 3-bromo-2-butanol is now viewed from by standing near carbon number 3. So from C3 we are looking at the molecule. C3 is near carbon, C2 is the distant carbon. So when I view the molecule from here, this carbon is visible for me, whereas C2 is hidden. And this C3 carbon is shown as the ball here, and C2 is hidden by C3. With C3 there are three bonds connected. This is the upward bond. These are the two bonds coming towards the weaver. And in the upward direction we have the methyl group. So this methyl group is here. Bromine at the left, hydrogen at the right for the weaver. So bromine at the left, hydrogen at the right. So here we are just taking this ball as a dot, and the three bonds are shown with solid lines, and the methyl at the top is here, bromine at left, hydrogen at right, and the backside carbon is taken as a circle, and to which when you view the molecule, the rear carbon has OH at left, hydrogen at right. Now you look at from here, this is the front carbon for the weaver. So the backside carbon has OH at left, hydrogen at right, the methyl down. So this is how the perspective formula is converted to the Newman projection. In this Newman projection, this is the front carbon with methyl, OH and hydrogen. That front carbon is kept as a dot here. The backside carbon, which is shown as a circle in the Newman projection, is kept as a dot in the Sagars. So these two dots, these two carbon atoms are connected by a slanting line. This is the front carbon. It is having a methyl up, hydrogen at the right and OH at the left. They are taken as they are. And at the backside carbon there are two hydrogens coming in the upward direction, methyl in the downside. Now by replacing all these wedges, we can get the lines, solid lines here. So this is the Sagar's formula of this molecule. Similarly, here is the same molecule viewed from the backside carbon. The backside carbon is brought to the front, and the front carbon is taken to the back. Now if you view the molecule, this is the front carbon having the two hydrogens in the upward, methyl in the down, and the backside groups are also shown here. Just replace the wedges by solid lines and you are getting the Sagar's formula of the molecule. Now we shall see how the Newman projection of ethane can be drawn. This is the three-dimensional structure of ethane, and if you just rotate the molecule, you can see the Newman projection. The front carbon is hiding the back. These are the three bonds in the front. These are at the back, and they are represented like this. The red groups, they are in the front carbon, and the blue bonds, they are in the backside carbon. Now the dihedral angle between these two CH bonds is 60 degree, and this is the staggered conformation of ethane. If you do a rotation by 60 degree, you get the eclipsed conformer of ethane. Fischer projection of 3-chloro 2,4 dihydroxy butanaldehyde is given here. A Fischer projection has to be viewed from the bottom carbon. So from this direction only we have to view the molecule. Now we shall try to convert this Fischer projection into the Sagar's formula. While we are converting the Fischer to Sagar's, the two groups which are at the bottom and the top should be kept at the downside of the Sagar's formula. In a Sagar's formula, the two middle carbons, the front carbon is taken here, and this is the rear carbon, this carbon, the rear carbon. They are connected by a slanting line. In the front carbon, the group at the bottom should be shown in the downside. Hydrogen and chlorine should be shown as they are in the hydrogen left and right. In the rear carbon, there is a group at the top that should be always shown at the downside. So when we are converting the Fischer projection into Sagar's, the groups at the bottom and top should be shown in the downside of the Sagar's formula, and the groups which are shown in the horizontal lines should be shown with the upward bonds as we are shown here. So hydrogen at the left, Cl at the right, and here at the rear carbon also hydrogen left, OH at right. So this is the Sagar's formula. Now this Sagar's can be converted to Newman. So this is the front carbon that should be shown with a dot, hydrogen left, Cl right, CH2OH down. The front carbon is shown with the three bonds. The rear carbon is shown with as a circle, and in that hydrogen left, OH right. So hydrogen left, OH right, the aldehyde group down. So this is the Newman projection, and this is the eclipsed conformer of this molecule. Now if you rotate this front carbon to bring the CH2OH to the top, then it becomes a staggered conformer. Now this staggered conformer also you can try to convert into Sagar's. The front carbon here, there is an upward bond with CH2OH. So while you are converting the Newman to Sagar's, so while converting Fischer to Sagar's, the bottom and top should be always kept at the downside. But while you are converting the Newman to Sagar's, there is no such condition. The groups which are at the upper side should be kept in the upper side. The groups at the downside should be kept in the downside. Only for Fischer, the bottom and top groups should be shown in the downside of the Sagar's. Okay, this is the front carbon of the Newman that is taken here as a dot. The circle is the backside carbon that is also shown as a dot. They are connected by a slanting line. The front carbon has a CH2OH at the top, Cl at left, hydrogen at right. So the groups are shown as they are oriented in the Newman projection. The back carbon has hydrogen left, OH right, the aldehyde group down. So that also is taken as it is. So it's simple to convert the Newman to Sagar's. So you should practice converting the Fischer to Newman, Fischer to Sagar's, and Newman to Sagar's. The staggered conformation, the staggered Sagar's projection of 2 amino, 1 bromo, 2 chloro, 1 phenyl propanol is taken here. This is the staggered Sagar's projection. This is the near carbon to the weaver, and this is the rear carbon, the backside carbon. And this Sagar's we can convert into Newman. Converting the Sagar's projection to Newman is very simple. The front carbon you can show as it is in the Sagar's without doing any changes. And the backside carbon is now connected with a slanting line. That slanting line we are not putting here, instead we are putting a circle to show the backside carbon, the rear carbon. And the three groups present in the rear carbon are taken as they are in the Sagar's without changing their orientations. This is how the staggered Sagar's projection can be converted to the Newman projection. Now this is the staggered Newman projection. I want to have the phenyl and methyl on the same side for some reason. It's because I want to have these groups in the vertical line of the Fisher projection. For that reason, I am trying to bring this phenyl down. For that I am doing a 180-degree rotation. So when phenyl comes down, the methyl will go here and the bromine will go to the other side. So now the phenyl and methyl are eclipsing. The other bonds are also eclipsing. This is the eclipsed Newman projection. And converting this Newman projection to Fisher is very similar to convert the Sagar's into Fisher. What we did with the Sagar's is the two downside bonds we have kept in the vertical line of the Fisher projection, and that is what we are going to do here also. This is the front carbon. In the Fisher projection, this is the front carbon, and this front carbon has phenyl group down. That group should be kept at the bottom. OH at left, Br at the right. They should be kept as they are. And in the rear carbon there is methyl down. So the group that is down in the back carbon should be kept at the top of the Fisher projection. Therefore we have the methyl at the top, amino at the left, bromine, chlorine at the right. And that is what we have taken in the Fisher also. This is how the Sagar's can be converted to Newman and Newman can be converted to Fisher. Here are the two enantiomers of 2-butanol. This is the Sagar's projection of one enantiomer that is converted to the Newman here. This one is converted to this Newman projection. This is the front carbon. This structure is kept as it is in the Sagar's. OH at left, hydrogen at right, methyl down. Instead of the slanting line, we are putting a circle. That's all. And these three groups are also we are showing as they are oriented in the Sagar's. That's all. And this is the structure 2, the mirror image of 1. Let us see how we can convert this into the Newman projection. The front carbon is shown as it is in the Sagar's with a dot. Instead of slanting line, we are putting a circle, and the three groups are shown as they are in this structure. So this is how the Sagar's projections are converted to the Newman, and it's an easy procedure. In this module, we have discussed about the different types of projection formulas, namely Fisher, Newman, Sagar's and flying wedges. And we have discussed how the flying wedge projection can be converted to Sagar's, Sagar's to Newman, Newman to Fisher. The conversion of one projection formula into the other projection formula. And we have done a lot of exercises also. You continue to do exercises related to conversion of one projection into another projection formula, so that you will become more familiar with the different ways of representing a molecule using these projection formulas. Thank you.